Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'll be working on my crown of thorns bonsai, pruning it back and getting the structure sorted out. Before I begin the pruning work on my crown of thorns, I'm going to show you some reference photos of succulent trees or tree-form succulents, and that'll kind of give us an idea of the styling I'm going for, that kind of succulent broom-style canopy. You can see from the reference photos that the branch structure in a succulent tree isn't really like any other tree. It's kind of chaotic, very dense, and there's not a whole lot of order to it other than, you know, all the branches somehow get light. So far with this bonsai, I've only been pruning it once a year, and the rest of the year I just water and fertilize it, place it in nice sunlight, and watch it grow and flower. So a very low maintenance bonsai if you like this sort of style. If you look at the lowest branch on the tree, you can see how it starts off really skinny, and then as it goes out it fattens up, it thickens up, and then you get the foliage and then the flowers. So that's typical of all the branches. They start off skinny and go thicker. But as the tree gets older, that changes. They become more uniform. I'll show you an example of an older branch. You can see that the branch that I just showed you, the one that goes from thin to thick, is attached to an older branch, and the diameter of the older branch is much more constant. It doesn't taper from skinny to fat. It's more of an even diameter. When I first got this tree at a nursery as a small cutting, it too went from skinny at the base of the tree to thicker towards the top. And now you can see that taper is reversing. So right now it's even a little thicker at the base than at the top. So it's kind of reversed the reverse taper. It's always hard for me to prune this tree back because when I bring it in fall, it's always got all these nice flowers and a nice full canopy. And then I prune it back and I wonder, oh, is it ever going to look this good again? And it always does. It always comes back even better. So it's just something I have to do. Prune it back and get more branch ramification and, you know, keep it to size, growing it in more proportion so the trunk gets thicker compared to the size of the canopy. This is my front of the tree. Because the trunk leans slightly towards the viewer, I'll rotate it around so you can kind of see a before shot of it, see what it looks like in its glory. So here I go. So you can see there's some hanging branches that have developed on it that are quite interesting. And back to the front. All right, it's time to start the pruning. So I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. So here's that branch I was showing you before, starting from skinny to thick. And it's a nice kind of sweeping branch. I've got to decide, well, wherever I prune it, I'll get some subdividing. So I've got to decide, well, where do I want to prune it along here? Do I want to prune it really short and get branching quite early? Do I want to keep, you know, a bit of the length of the branch and start the branching out here? So it's just a matter of choice. If you want your tree to be really, you know, a lot of branching and movement, then you'll want to prune it off fairly short. If you want kind of a broad sweeping tree, well, you'd prune it off a little longer. So I'm going to come into I think I want my inner node about this length. You know, that length of a branch before it subdivides. So here I go. I'm going to prune it right here. Just like that. And do be careful of the milky latex-like sap. Don't get it on your hands or in your eyes, or don't ingest it. It's not good for you. So that is part of this branch. So that's got that pruned off. I've got another little shoot here. I could just take the tip off that one to here. There's one that comes out here, then it subdivides. I pruned this tip off before and I only got one shoot out of it. It didn't go from 1 to 2, so I'll just prune it again to here. And we'll see if I get some more branching in this area. If at first you don't succeed, just keep trying. And then the branch goes up and it starts reaching up, going kind of vertical, so I'm going to prune it off quite short to here. That kind of makes these two branches about the equal length. I haven't pruned that one and I won't because it's fairly short. And then this branch, it comes up here and divides at this point. It comes out to a fairly horizontal branch here. So I'll prune that off like that. There's one growing in towards the inside of the tree. It starts on the inside of this branch and swoops in towards the center of the tree. I'm going to take that right out. Otherwise you get too cluttered a canopy. So that is coming right out there. And this one, it came out here, I pruned it here, and I again only got one branch coming off of it, not two. So I'll just prune it here again. And maybe I'll get, you know, more branching happening in that area. You just keep trying. So I think, now on the remains of that branch, I have one that's going vertical here. I'm going to take off completely. I don't want a vertical shoot there. And then there's a more horizontal one here. I'll just prune that back to there. So I'm following this branch up. There's a branch growing from the inside here that goes in towards the center of the tree and then straight up. So I'm going to take that right out. So you can see how long it was. Like that. It was growing straight up into the canopy. So a bit of, you know, structural cleanup in that area. A lot of dead leaves in here that'll have to be cleaned out. That's quite natural, you know. The older leaves and flowers die off. They just kind of fall down and get trapped in the inner branch structure here. So yeah, I've got my first branch, this one pruned up now. So I can keep going around. I can do this one next. So again, I've got a branch coming up here. I pruned it here, it divided from 1 to 1, if not 1 to 2, so I'll prune it again, like that. There's one shooting straight up here, I'll prune that off. Now, so that takes care of that part of the branch. This part of the branch I'll just prune back. And then there's one that sweeps upwards here, and this one divides from 1 into 3 here. So, if I prune off this one, I'll get some movement. I've got one off to this left-hand side and one to the right-hand side, so I'll take out the center one. It also has a branch that goes up in towards the inside of the tree, so off it goes. Like that. And that has pretty well got that pruned up, that branch. I could take this upper part off so it fans out more. I think I will actually, even though this is a really nice branch, it's quite vertical. It would give room for other branches to grow in that area. So keeping these lower branches kind of spreading more horizontally. And you know, as you go up in the canopy, the horizontal branches kind of come up to vertical. So even some of these lower ones might be weeping branches someday. So yeah, I really like that division, but I'm going to take that off. There's just a good chance for movement. And it gets that branch going and more horizontal, which is good for a branch lower down on the tree. There's another case here where I'm dividing. I've got a branch here and a branch here, and then it sweeps up a bit and has this branch. I could take it off here to shorten it, and I will. So right here, like that. That kind of cleans that branch structure up, and again keeps it more horizontal and lower, so then I've got room for more branching up top. Okay, so there's 2 branches done. Let's go around to the next lowest one, which is this one here. So I'll prune this off shorter, like that. There's another one here I can prune off shorter, like that. Now there's a branch here. It comes off another branch that's higher up, and it kind of cascades and cuts through this lower branch and shades it out. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Like that. That'll give this lower branch more light. Take that one off there. You can see this lowest branch hasn't grown much because it was kind of shaded out by the upper branches. So it's very important to keep, you know, each branch, have it so it gets light. Otherwise, it just won't grow. It'll wither away and die off. So you've got to watch this crown doesn't get too full and shade out your lower branches, which is what was happening. Which is another reason I may have to start pruning this more often than just once a year. So again, here's another lower branch coming off the branch above it that cascades down and blocks out all the light getting to this lowest branch. So I'm taking this one out like that. And I'll just snip off the tip of this branch. Just to, you know, hopefully get some subdividing. And that one's okay. Okay, that's another branch done. Oh wait, no, it isn't done. There's a shoot sticking off of that branch. It goes to the inside and goes straight up. So I'm taking that right out. There, so that was shooting straight up off of that branch. Now, I'm taking a look at that branch. I do have it, it comes up here and it divides from 1 to 3. I could take out, I'm going to take off this kind of one here. Is that right? Tough decision. This one is a nice radial direction coming off the trunk. Then it kind of goes sideways here. I'll take the tip off this one. Maybe I'll get a shoot more horizontal. And I got to decide between these two. Do I take the more vertical one, which is... No, I'm going to keep the more horizontal one. Take that one out. Okay. Yeah, so that lowest branch is now pruned up, so I'll go around to the next one. So the next one, I have this long cascading hanging branch coming off of it. You can see it here. So, do I want to keep that? I'm going to keep part of it for now. I'm going to prune it off here. So I still have it there. It doesn't flow with anything really. However, you know, some of these succulents with a tree form, they are very chaotic, the structure. They're not organized like a deciduous tree necessarily. So maybe, you know, keeping that will give it a more natural appearance. And you can always prune it off later if I find it's bugging me. So let's go out that branch now. So I pruned it here and I've got a lot of division out here. I'll prune this one back short. That's kind of sticking up. There. There's one coming out here. I pruned it here before, so I'll prune it here now. Taking that tip off. There's one sticking straight up here. I'll take that out. Doesn't look very attractive. It doesn't flow. And then I'll shorten this one to here. Like that. And I'll shorten this one to here. Like that. Get rid of some of these dead leaves in here. So that's got this branch pruned up now. Nice kind of horizontal branch that's kind of fanning outwards nicely. Some good flow lines to it. Okay, so the next low branch is this one. So I'm going to prune that next. So it's got a branch coming out here that I pruned here, and it's subdivided from 1 into 1, 2, 3, 4 branches. So I only need it subdividing into 2. So I'll prune off definitely this one that sticks up. That one. And there's another one sticking straight up here. I'll take that out. Like that. Which leaves me dividing into 2 now, which is perfect. So I'll prune this one back shorter to here, like that, and then this one back. Take the tip off to hopefully get more subdividing. So that's got the end of that branch sorted out. There are 2 branches that kind of stick up here that I'm going to take off. They kind of are sticking straight up, which is too vertical for a low branch on this one. That was a nice tapered one, wasn't it? And these root really easily from cuttings. Just put them in some dry soil, kind of mist the cuttings, keep them warm with good sunlight, and they'll root and grow. Especially if you take cuttings in the summertime. Winter it's a little harder because of the low light levels and cooler temperatures. Okay, now I'm looking at that. So again, off of that branch towards the inside here, there's a branch sticking that goes in towards the center and then goes straight up. So I'm taking that out. It's not a good flowing branch. Okay, so here it comes. Yeah, there's that branch coming out. And this is what happens to trees as you refine them as they get older. You get more branch selection, so you can, you know, choose your better branches, prune out the ones that aren't so good, and eventually you get a really, really nice looking tree. I'm going to take the stub off here. There's a pruning stub. Take off. Just to improve the look of that branch a bit. Okay, so this is the one we're dealing with here now. There's a shoot here that needs to be shortened. There's one sticking straight up I'm going to take off and then shorten this one to there and shorten this one and shorten this one. And there's one sticking straight up. I'll take off that, take that off. Okay. Now, the next lowest branch is this one, which comes off one a little higher up. So again, it's kind of cascading and it's in a good spot. It's got good light here. And you can see it divides from 1 to 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So I'll prune off this cascading one shorter to here. I will take off the one going upwards here. I'll take that right out like that. And I'll shorten this one. And I may even take that right out. I'm going to take this one off. This divides from 1 to 3 here. This one interferes with the branch beside it, so I'm taking that one out. It's kind of crossing over top of the branch beside it. So that branch looks pretty good. Now this is part of the same branch structure back there, so I'll shorten that to here. There's one going vertical here. I'll take that out. And then off of that branch, there's one back here that goes straight up right through the center of the tree. So I don't want that. It doesn't fan out at all. So off it comes. And it's probably, look at that. It kind of became a major part of the crown up there. So that's nice to get that out of there. It certainly cleans up this structure, this branch structure down here, which is nice. And then I've got another one here coming off that's kind of growing over top of this branch beside it, so I'm going to remove it entirely like that. So the only remaining lowest branch now is this one here, so I've got to prune that up. There's a vertical part I can take off here like that. I'll prune, I've already pruned that one back. This one divided from 1 to 3, I'll just clean that up a bit. I think I already pruned that part of it. But up here I've got one growing kind of in again towards the center of the tree, so I'll take that off entirely like that. And this one's got to come off here like that. And then there's another branch coming off it from down low here that kind of, it's got a vertical part. I'll take that off. I'll shorten this tip. And yeah, it's kind of growing over top of this one a bit, but it's not too bad. I'll leave it. It's not the worst branch in the world. And that's got that lowest one up. So all the lowest branches are now pruned on the tree. You can really see in there now. It's really nice to see the tree developing nicely. So now I'm going to go up the tree. So I've got the second tier of branches here. And the same thing, I'll just shorten them. So I'll shorten this cascading one there. There's one kind of sticking straight up here. I'll take that off totally. There's one. This one kind of comes up, goes more horizontal, and then there's a vertical section that divides and forms a major part of the crown up here. I don't think I want that up there, so I'm going to take that whole top section off. It's a big cut, big cut, but I've got to do it. Here I go. So here's the entire part I took off there, keeping this branch that has really good kind of outwards flowing movement to it. Yeah, keep your best branches. Get rid of the others. Prune this back. Prune this back. There's one sticking straight up here. I can take that off. Now, there's one here. Again, I have a nice branch that flows outwards, but then I've got one that kind of curves in towards the center of the tree. I've got to take that off. Here's another one that grows straight up. Take that out. And I can shorten this one. Like that. Kind of fixing up that mid structure. There's one here I can shorten. This one can be shortened. And this vertical part can be taken right out. Like that. This is going to look like a different tree when I'm done pruning. But it'll be for the better. Now here, you can see this branch comes up and it divides from 1 to 3 here. So I've got to pick my best branches. These two have better direction. This one kind of goes off to the side and kind of grows, you know, back in towards the center of the tree. So this one's going to come off. Even though it's a very big branch. Like that. Here's another branch. It comes up and then the shoot goes in towards the center of the tree. So I'm just going to take the entire tip off this branch and see what happens. Hopefully it'll get some good branching in there. There's another one here. It's not an ideal branch, but I'll keep it. There's nothing else there. Just shorten it. There's one here going up again straight in towards the center of the tree. I'll take that right out. Cleaning up that structure. So this one I can just take the tip off here. It's a nice branch. This one I can shorten also. There's one here I can shorten. Like that. Now we're getting into some more that are growing straight up here. This one's going in towards the center of the tree. I'll take that one out first. I think. I'm just trying to decide here. Yeah, I think there's a branch here that kind of goes straight up, which is kind of like will be my apex for the rounded canopy. So everything else will kind of fan away from that. So here I've got this branch comes up, divides from 1 into 3, and this one kind of grows in towards the center. So I'm going to take that one right out. Big branch coming off. Oh, there's a spider. Hello, spider. Yeah, and then I was up here, and the same thing here. I've got these two branches kind of going vertical or in towards the center of the tree, whereas I have one that's fanning outwards here. So I'm going to take that top off. Like that. Wow, big cuts. Big cuts. This branch, I've got one that kind of grows straight up. I don't have any other branching, so I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to shorten it for now. And we'll see what happens. If something develops out here, I can prune that off later. Prune this one shorter. So this was going to be my center apex. So I've got another one here that needs pruning off. It's kind of growing vertical, kind of competing with that apex. So that one's going to come off. Another big one like that. And then I've got one tall branch left here. So I'll shorten this one to there and this one to here. Let's see how much that's grown over the summer. From a little skinny thing, it's really thickened up and gained vigor. So off it comes to there. So I have a lot of the pruning done now. Now, I haven't pruned the apex here, and I will. I'll take this one back to here. And I'm just going to take the very tip off this one. Just get some more branching happening. Okay, so that's taking care of most of the structural flaws of the tree. I still have to stand back and look at it. There may be branches that I need to remove. Maybe I've got too many branches. Maybe there's some that look strange. If this is the front of my tree, maybe I have some branches coming straight out at the viewer, which don't look so good. Still looks quite nice from the front. I do have a lot of branches coming out from one spot there, but you know, this is a succulent tree. It's not a typical tree. I would say this branch here is getting a little long, but it gives it a bit of style. It gives that canopy a bit of a asymmetrical windswept kind of look, or you know, being longer on this side. It might be more boring if it was like in a more of an even dome-shaped canopy. Yeah, I'm thinking I like it. Here's a closer look at the tree now. I am really liking it. I think it's looking much more tree-like, and it still has that succulent look to it. That kind of branch structure that you see in those tree-form succulents. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I don't know how long this tree will live. I don't know how large it can get. I'm just going to keep up with this pruning, probably once a year still, maybe the odd bit of trimming midway in the year, but basically once a year, and just see how big it gets, see what it looks like, if it gets bark on it, if it, you know, maybe it'll lose the needles or the thorns down lower and it'll get a bark-like texture on it. I don't know. I've tried to look them up on the internet. I can't find any real old specimens. So it's a bit of an experiment, and so far I just love it as a bonsai. I mean, it flowers, it gets a nice green canopy on it. You can prune them. They're easy to care for. You don't have to worry about them drying out very much because, you know, they're a succulent. They can go without water for quite a while. So yeah, I'm really liking it. I'll rotate it around so you can get a 360-degree view of the tree now. We had the before shot, now this is the after, so here I go, rotate it around. Coming around to the right-hand view. The back of the tree. The left-hand side. And back to the front. I have a feeling it will get bark on it eventually. Most succulents do. They get some kind of bark. Here's a look at the tree from higher up so you can kind of see that nice, you know, the lowest branches are more horizontal. As you go up in the canopy, they become more and more vertical, and then we've got a nice, you know, vertical one as the crown of the tree. So yeah, a very attractive branch structure. The Bonsai Zone is all about progression, so I have a link to the playlist for my crown of thorns in the description, and you can go back to the earlier videos when I first got the plant from the nursery and kind of follow the videos through to see, you know, how it looks today. And hopefully, you know, I'll keep developing it into the far future. So 10 years from now, you'll be able to go back and look at this video and say, wow, it's really changed a lot. Or, it's too bad that tree died. One of the two. So that's happens with all the trees. I have a playlist for each tree, so you can follow the progression through the years. Here's a look at the cutting room floor. There are a lot of quite thick cuttings in here. I'm not going to root any because I just don't have room in my plant room. If it was the middle of the summer, I would try and root them all and give them away. But yeah, lots of branches taken off today. It's time now for today's update. Today's update is my hibiscus. You can see the second flower came out today. Just looks beautiful. After my hibiscus has finished flowering, it'll be the focus of another video where I'll prune it all back, getting it ready for the growing season. In my last video, I was eating baobab leaves, the fresh green leaves, and they tasted really good. Derek asked a question, what do the yellow leaves taste like? And so Derek, I'm doing this for you. You asked the question. I'm going to eat a yellow baobab leaf and I'll let you know what it tastes like. So here I go. I've got 3 leaves here. I've got a greenish yellow one, I've got a very yellow one, and then I've got a dried up one that looks like you wouldn't eat it. So here I go. I'll start with the greenish yellow one. I would say it's like the green one, except not as flavorful and not as sweet. It's almost like 50% as good. Next, the limp yellow one. This will probably taste even worse. Yeah. Yeah, that's not tasting so good. And lastly, this shriveled up, rotten looking leaf. Here I go. Oh, I can't eat that. That tastes about exactly how it looks. Horrible. So there you go, Derek. That is the answer to your questions. Eat them when they're green. And that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.